Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, and I vlog daily to keep you updated on the real life situation in my country during this awful war with Russia. I did not expect it will take me a year, but I also expect that in my channel you will be able to witness our victory, and the sooner the better. If you're new, please subscribe because the world needs to know more about Ukraine. But today the world also needs to know more about Prigozhin. I have decided to introduce you to one more Russian orc that has a potential to become supreme Russian orc, which can be translated as Russian president. Prigozhin is a person that I have already mentioned in many of my videos because he is connected to a couple of evil things that are happening right now in Russia. Well, first of all, he is closely connected to the private army Wagner Group. You know that they are fighting close to Bakhmut, they did lots of bad operations in Syria and left many of their footprints all over the world. Also, he is famous for the creation of the troll factory. Many of you watched that in my new episode of Russian crimes. I will leave a link at the end of this video for those who did not. Well, he sponsors lots of bad things in media because he is an oligarch. So what is typical about Prigozhin that makes him a perfect candidate to be a Russian president? Number one, he is an oligarch and no one knows the basis for his wealth. Like, he can never explain it. By the way, in many corrupt countries, and Russia is the mother of corruption, millionaires, billionaires are never invited to the meetings with students or various inspirational talks. Why? Because they cannot inspire you. There is no story behind their wealth apart from some criminal episodes. And of course, the 90s. The 90s was a very specific period of time when people were grabbing everything that was national in the times of the USSR, belonged to a state or belonged to a party elite. But those who were brutal, those who were violent, lots of people from boxing clubs, for example, became millionaires in like half a year. By the way, if you're interested in that period, I can record a video or a special Myths Debunked or Russian crime series on that. Let me know in the comments. So anyway, all of these people like Prigozhin, they cannot explain where did they take their money from, because it's not a startup, it's not the invention, it's not the heritage, and it's not even the aggressive business strategy. It is pure criminal. But to make him even better candidate, he has real official criminal record or two for theft, fraud, and other serious things. So he is an oligarch, he has criminal past, he is a Russian chauvinist because, of course, he supports the idea of Ruski Mir and he fights for it in Bakhmut. And he was closely connected with Putin, but we can observe some minor conflicts happening now inside Russia and especially in the military sphere. Of course, the success in this special military operation, though they pretend it is success, but we all understand it is not, led to confrontations between an ordinary Russian army and private armies, most of which are led by Prigozhin and people like him, like Wagner Group. They were super active close to Bakhmut because they wanted to demonstrate that only private armies are successful, and they failed. But now Prigozhin constantly quarrels with Shoigu, who is the Minister of Defense, or actually the Minister of Attack in Russia, and trying to say that he does not have enough information, he's not provided, he does not have special connection for exchange of messages, he does not have supplies. And also he even trolled the son-in-law of Shoigu that he is not in Russian army, and there were some scandals on social media as to that because so many people are mobilized, and son-in-law of Shoigu is in Dubai. By the way, those of you who travel to Dubai, be careful, you can meet lots of Russians there, and if you meet, tell them my hello the way I would. So we can see some conflicts that appear inside Russian military sector and Russian political sector, and of course it's good for us, but it will not change anything greatly because Prigozhin is just the same orc as Putin, as Shoigu, Or even your favorite Navalny, who is like less orc but still an orc, with his chauvinistic approach, and Crimea, according to him, is not Ukraine. So Prigozhin works hard on the creation of his new media image, and many people, many media groups have noticed that. Because previously, for years, first of all, he was known something as a great cardinal. I don't know if you have a phrase like that in English, but we typically describe people who are very influential but not visible. So he was really close to Putin, and he had a nickname, the cook of Putin. Because of his culinary business, he's got lots of restaurants now, and also media companies. That's why he's influential. And he was close to Putin. He was performing some of the military tasks, Russian military tasks, as a private army owner. And also he is the owner of the troll factory. And we all know that troll factory is like important in Russian culture, because they have to spread positive comments about Putin and negative comments about like Ukraine, opponents, the West, and whatnot. And traditionally, he was showing himself on these official videos as a very dynamic person, as a person on the front lines in the field, wearing uniform. There were rumors that he was wounded in Ukraine, but then he denied them. Anyway, he was creating this image of an active military man. But recently, a new interview appeared, totally copied from Putin's style. Cinematographic, with huge pauses, and many people believe that it is even a kind of trolling, that he pretends to act as Putin, and he speaks the way he is. And also jokingly, he mentioned that he is ready to participate in the 2024 presidential elections. You see, this 2024 is going to be a very presidential year, and I will lie if I tell you that I'm not worried about the results of that. But anyway, now he's trying to create his image of a politician and of a strong military man opposed to weak Russian army. Shoigu is trying to demonstrate that army is strong, but they have made Russian budget secret, like the huge half of it secret, which means that they have switched many spheres of Russian life into military budgeting, and as a result they promised to increase the production of artillery supplies by 8, which is a lot. And once again, it explains that we need more of your support, more of your weapons, and more of your patience and understanding to win this war. Of course, this also means that Russians realize they will not be able to win this war quickly, but this also means more days and more sufferings for Ukrainians. So anyway, it will be interesting to observe what happens to Prigozhin. Will he be able to become a candidate, or will something bad happen to him, an accident, like, you know, or maybe there are some changes going on now in Kremlin, and this will result in something. But once again, for those of you who don't know him, he is another orc that can become a supreme orc, that has criminal past, that is an oligarch, that is a chauvinist, which makes him a perfect leader of modern Russia. Luckily, he is also under sanctions, and all members of his family are under sanctions in the United States, in the European Union. So of course, this limits some of his resources and influences. But we have to be careful, and we have to understand that Russia is not just a not democratic country. It is worse. It is an anti-democratic country. I think we should introduce something like that, because there are countries, like, I know there are different kinds of democracy and different levels of democracy, and it varies from a tradition to a tradition. But there are countries that hate democracy, for which democracy means the end of their national tradition, and Russia is definitely one, if not the only, of such countries. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for buying me coffees. Actually, I'm going to drink one right now because I have many classes this week and that's a crazy week, plus it's cold. So thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and helping our projects with Sasha, Soviet myths debunked and Russian crimes. I believe we need to know more about the true face of our enemy. But most importantly, thank you for your support and patience. Stand with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!